There you go. Hey, people. How are you? Don't even mind I'm up there. You know who I am? Too much? Is it? I don't know. I wasn't sure. Did you like my little pre-video? I've got a lot of time on my hands. I'm off work. I'm a teacher, so long holidays. It's fantastic. As well as a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old to look after all day long. So they help me make this little grotto. For episode 31 of the Sports Therapy podcast, available live, direct from Lansing, and also available on YouTube and as a podcast. So if you're listening to the audio, then thanks very much. That's great. Make sure you leave a review and a rating. But we do encourage you to join us live, because look what you could be missing. We've got a job on our hand tonight, haven't we? I was just chatting with guests Malcolm and Mike. I know it's a shitter. I know what I'm going to say. We'll start off recognizing that it's still a very testing time, and it will continue to be a testing time in 2021. But I'm sure with the people who we get in here, already looking at the names coming in to join us live, we will manage still, as we have done for a year now, to get the positive out of everything. One of the positive things is this and us coming together and talking about stuff. But also we've got the help tonight of Malcolm Sloan and Mike James, who a lot of you are already aware of, who are going to lend us their expertise in making the most of the time we've got now to prepare for what's coming up. Yeah, because a lot of the time, the typical human response is to kind of shut the doors, to complain, whinge, blame everyone, especially if they're over 6'6" and they've kind of got an association. And there is constructive things that we can do as soft tissue therapists, and we can support each other, and we can encourage you to talk and voice your worries and concerns, and that's what this is all about. So that's the idea. That's what we're going to do for episode 31. Before we do that, let me just bring up a little mind what we got. So they're going to be joining us later on. Everything is on YouTube as well. I don't think it's going out live on YouTube today. There was some issue. But if you want to watch the videos, which I recommend you do, because we do, we take pride in the visual output as well. You can catch up with us on YouTube at the Sports Therapy Association channel. If you do, make sure you subscribe. Also, the podcast, like I've said, it was great to see a few of you actually leaving some reviews and ratings on Apple. That's great. That really pushes us up the list. It's what we need. So if you've got some Christmas spirit in you, then do head over to Apple, or just do it on your iPhone and leave a rating and a review for the podcast. Thank you very much. And also thanks very much to Nick from last week. Had some really good feedback. Really nice bloke. Great publication as well, which I was really quite chuffed that a lot of you haven't actually seen before. So Massage and Fitness magazine, very worth checking out, and even sending some of your clients there. It really is an excellent directory of modern evolved thinking when it comes to soft tissue treatments. It's all there. So it's a really, really, really healthy place, and it's really friendly as well, with great writers like Alice Sanvito and Nick himself. And so do check it out. And thanks again to Nick. That episode is available on YouTube, and soon it will be available as the podcast. But that's it for now. We're going to bring up guaranteed source of merriment and cheer in the form of Gary and Mike and Malcolm as well. So we'll bring these guys up. Let me get rid of that as well. 1, 2, 3. That's everyone. How you doing, guys?
Yes, very good, thank you.
Oh God, I thought I'd no sound then. I thought that was going to be a downer. How's it going? Good. Silly question, isn't it? What do people answer to that these days? Yeah, it's shit. Thanks. How's it for you? We're going to stay positive today, aren't we? We're going to give people great ideas. But before we do that, Gary, the truth with you. Where are we at the moment? You've been very busy, haven't you?
I've been very busy. It's a really productive 72 hours since Boris Johnson went on and dropped a bombshell about Tier 4. But he also chose to mix up the wording. So the things that we got used to in lockdown 1 and 2, the essential health services, the sports and massage therapies, have disappeared. And now we are all trying to scratch around the internet to find out what constitutes medical services. So there was a collaboration over the weekend and yesterday, and we've come up with what we think is appropriate guidance, given the fact that there's a pandemic, and there's a legal, moral, and ethical obligation to stop the spread of the virus. Apart from those people who travelled north on a train on Saturday, about 3,000 of them, judging by the media pictures. But yeah, it's I think one of the things that's come out of it, and this is why I'm wearing my hat, is I've been cast in the Christmas pantomime as an ogre for only giving bad news. I try not to, but some of the limitations of the qualifications of some of our members is making it really hard. And I understand, the people who've done the modern day level 3 sports massage award don't have any remedial skill set. It's basically the application of sports massage techniques, and so all of the associations have had to say, well, actually, as a level 3, issued after 2014, that we can't find how you can possibly work in this, in these conditions, in this new lockdown or tier system. And our friends in Wales they're in lockdown, whatever they're calling it now, fire break or restrictions from the 20th. The only relaxation is on Christmas Day. Our friends in Northern Ireland and Scotland, they go into, or mainland Scotland goes in on Boxing Day. It's just confusing. We all of the associations are trying to find out what the wording means. I think they're doing it on purpose, and it's a little bit like the transport analogy that there was used yesterday, with 175 lorries on the M2, is it? It's a road down south anyway. And when there's about 900, well, it's a bit the same for us. They give us a little tiny bit of information, and we're left scrambling around to try and find out what's safe to do. But my gut feeling is that it's not safe to be working for myself. I've got an underlying health condition, so I'm choosing not to work, and I'm encouraging members to think hard about whether they want to work. And I appreciate the financial situation that a lot of members find themselves in, and the necessity to work, but it's doing everything you can to protect you.
It's really tricky, isn't it? I've been watching. Oh, Gary's gone. One of his many, many haters just booted him out, probably. It's been very tricky. I've been taking great pity on Gary. Luckily, he's got broad shoulders, but I don't think there's anyone here tonight. But some people have been really laying into him. Why don't you do this? Why is this? And it doesn't help with the differences in opinions between different associations and organizations and stuff. But Malcolm and Mike, you're both in the eye of the storm as well, with a lot of therapists looking to you for inspiration. Has it been a difficult few days for you as well?
I think it's been a difficult few days for everybody, really. Let's be honest. It's judging by the queues at supermarkets, turn on the news and it's miserable news. Doesn't matter, if you've got kids, as both Mike and I, we've both got 2 young kids, so we're regularly sharing stories as to who's got to do homeschooling or been self-isolating, etc., because some kid in their class, etc. And it's it's a really tricky time, and it's a tricky time for everybody. And equally, I think it's one of those things. It's a really tricky time where you can't make any assumptions about anybody, and there are people that might have been the most outgoing people that look like they've got everything sorted, but as Gary mentioned, they might have somebody at home that's shielding, and they're incredibly stressed and worried, and they're almost not necessarily honest about it. They're just trying to head down and deal with stuff. So yeah, we've had a few difficult phone conversations, and
Gary with women running around his room.
Yeah,
come out the wardrobe.
Summer's home.
Oh, it's like a carry-on film.
Now she's got to run everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I obviously don't know where I was just waffling away to myself. All I could see was myself on the screen, so it's just like normal. I was talking to myself. Someone came in and said, "Dad, you're not on screen." So I've had to rejoin. So I don't know, where I was in my waffle, but yeah, it's tough times.
Just Mark was just saying he's been receiving a lot. I think that's really important. Like, I've watched a couple of people who I regarded were bang out of order laying into my Gary, and I wanted to wade in. But I think one of the advantages of getting older is you realize everyone's got a story, everyone's got a lot of crap going on in the background. And full respect to Gary and you guys as well. I mean, I see Gary more because he has a lot more kind of like frustration directed towards him. But I think all of you three are very, very good at kind of staying calm. I don't think I could do it a lot of the time. I must have typed and deleted about 5 things to a couple of people I saw in the sports association. I was like, no, that's really out of order. No, show it to my wife. No, don't put that. You can't use that. And it's like, Mike, how's it been for you? Tricky?
It has, you know, personally, as Mark said, we got things that we're trying to balance ourselves. I think it's the attrition effect now. You know, people have dealt with this at different stages, and it's a bit like that boxer to me that, you know, for some people, the first lockdown was the uppercut that knocked them out. But for a lot of people, it's just this incessant jab into the nose. And we're in round 12 now, and it's people's patiences are wearing thin. We're starting now to see the emotional effect dribbling in. So people are moaning about something, they're having a flash about something, and the realistic fact is it's probably something else that's the real issue for them now, whether it's family issues, whether it's just the longevity of this stuff going on, whether it's just this, it's another blow to us, it's that other jab on the nose. And that's what I think I've started taking longer to reply to people on purpose, to let things settle, let the dust settle a bit more, try to empathize and sympathize with them, try and understand what their situation is. And I found that Malcolm and I are both supposedly on leave this week. It's probably the longest we've ever gone without speaking, but I'm sure he'll say the same. I've not been on leave. I've been answering phone calls left, right, and center. And most people will send me a message and you get a gist from the message. But if you speak to them within like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, when the dust has settled, then they tell you what the real problem is. And, you know, yeah, I am pissed off about work, but what's annoying me is because now I can't see my dad at Christmas, or I can't get the kids the presents that I was hoping to get them, or whatever the thing is. So I've just been a lot quieter. I've listened to people a lot more this week. I've just let them vent in some ways. I think some people just needed to have a good old moan and a good old whinge. I think what people do need to do is just take the time to think where they're directing that whinge, because as you've said, some people are unfortunately copying it and are the wrong people to be copying it.
Yeah, I think it's a message for everyone. Just you've got to imagine that a lot of people have got a lot of rubbish going on at the moment, and you've got to just not say what the first thing that comes to your mind. Plus, we're all tense as well. We're all ready for a bonkers and a fight and stuff as well, so it's tricky. Yeah. But anyway,
I think an important thing though is it's very easy, isn't it, to go, we're all in the same boat and it's all tough. So, you know, we should all remain positive. Let's be honest, as you've said, Matt, and I'm sure everyone's the case. It's absolutely fine to have that little time of venting. It's just having that release, isn't it? It can be very helpful to have that trusted confidant, whether it's a friend, a daughter, or another half, whatever it is, just to go, can I just talk at you for a minute and just vent that anger and go, right, okay, cool. Right, I've dealt with that. Now I'm a bit calmer. Now I'll respond to that message, or I'll choose to ignore it or listen or whatever.
I read a really nice analogy yesterday following on what you're saying about the storm, which I'd reference it, but unfortunately I can't remember what it was. But collectively, we're trying to get out of the storm together. So I think when we're all sort of, you know, pumping the fists and saying as a profession, as an industry, we need to come together, that's true. But the storm analogy is really good because we're not all in the same boat. What we're actually in is in the same storm. Some people are in a boat, some people are in a canoe, some people are on a flimsy raft, some people are swimming. And that's the nuance of it, really. And that's what we don't understand with everyone is what are you in? Because there was some people who were in a boat who may be now swimming. There was maybe some people who were on a life raft and someone on that raft with them has fallen off. And that's the little nuance that we have to give a little bit more time to consider with individuals, that it's the storm that we share, not the boat.
Very nice. Very nice.
What I try and do is that, and I wish that, you know, people who wish to criticize me just basically ring me up and rant at me, because I've got broad shoulders and thick skin, rather than put it in the public domain, because then that reflects badly on the STA and the members. So what I do is, if I'm having a particularly bad day, and some days I get up in the morning thinking, what is the purpose of today? And so if I'm in a particularly negative frame of mind, I go and do something positive, whether that be paying for the person who goes over the toll bridge behind me, or, a good deed of the day. And it just balances my universe, really. So every time somebody chooses to criticize me, I'll give something away. So that's what we've been doing. I don't know if you heard before, but we've given away over £2,000 worth of products and services, and in the run up to Christmas, and we intend to do more in January as well. Jake's been working really hard behind the scenes at building relationships with providers. So there's lots more to do. In fact, anybody who's entered one of our 12 days of Christmas competitions is entered into a special Christmas Day competition to win a prize. And tonight, one of the non-members who joins us live will be drawn out and win a 3 years membership as well. So ho ho ho, give it away.
He says with humbug on his hat. There's some lovely comments coming up. As always, I haven't stopped and read them out. This is people listening to the podcast. Then do come along and join us live. There's some fantastic people in the house lending words of support and thanks. And Gemma Oliver here from the Physiotherapist Support Group is saying some very lovely stuff. And Gemma's a great example as well, who was a guest on here. The other day in their group, actually, I remember Mike was in there as well, because it was the Quality Street question, which was the kind of thing which you can just put a smile on your face and just change your day. And it was just it was a great example of how something so silly and little can just make you smirk, and just suddenly you feel your shoulders go down a centimeter. And so, big shout out for that group. It was great. And hopefully the STA as well, rather than using it to vent, use it to, use each other, talk to each other, and then put something positive on just to make someone smile. Talking of smiles, right, so tonight we will be talking about various things we've got. We've already mentioned the just money that Gary's chucking out of his pockets because he just can't get rid of it quickly enough. And I think most people in here are seeing that, but do check out the posts with the 12 days of Christmas and the various competitions and things going on. I think even someone coming along tonight is entered into a draw, aren't they, Gary? What's the score?
Yeah, a non-member who's joining us tonight will get a 3 years membership, and then anybody who's entered any competition during the 12 days is on a list, and we'll draw one random winner for a prize, and they'll be announced on Christmas Day. Okay,
so there you go. So if you do know any non-members, if you've got any colleagues who you've been saying, oh, come along to the STA, give them a little text now and say, look, come along today, and you might actually win 3 years membership and stuff. The other thing we will be doing is when you hear that noise, it means it's a quiz question. Now, I've been thinking about this today, how to do this. Obviously, we're going to pit Malcolm against Mike, because it's nice to see them actually not be so friendly and lovely towards each other. We want to make one of them look really stupid. So I'm suggesting that the people in the room, we will allow you to help them, but we need just to work out at the moment who's with Malcolm and who's with Mike. So if you do want to help them with a question that comes up in the quiz, then you're welcome to type it in the comments, but you need to type first of all their name. Okay, so you can type the answer if you want, or whatever you think it is, but make sure you supersede it with Malcolm. Okay, because then I know who to give the point to. So I'm going to do a dry run at the moment, people. So if you're listening and you want to help one of these people, okay, either Malcolm or Mike, they don't have to listen to you. It's a bit like, Must Be a Millionaire, but they might take your advice. Here's a demo question, okay? It's 10 seconds maximum. I might even make it 5, depending on how we're doing. So the question's coming up, and this might be, for example, how it's going to run. You ready, people? Oh, there we go. Hashtag Team Mike, hashtag Team Matt. That's take ages to type. Yeah, you can. Ready for the question? 10-second countdown. I've got it here. It's going to be strict. How many of Santa's reindeers have names beginning with the letter D?
2.
Do we shout out? Do we put our hands up? What do we do?
You can wait till I say go, and then you can tell me what your answers are.
Not a lot of help from the audience at the moment, lads.
Okay, the time is up. How many would you like to say?
I'll say 3.
3 and 2. Okay. Well, this is only a dry run, by the way, guys. There's no points coming out. There wasn't much help from the audience, was there? No. Well, the actual answer is Dasher, Dancer, and Donna. So 3. So that would have been 1 mark to the Welsh contingency.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the therapist contingent, because none of the audience might realize that Mark's not actually a therapist, everybody. If you're looking for a
divisive.
Oh, it's already starting. Santa's little helper's already kind of digging deep. There's a chance now.
0 idea.
Win at all costs.
Are you as competitive as Mike, though, Malcolm?
We should also say that Mike and our team Zoom quizzes when we started out basically got 100% in every single one. Dubiously, shall we say?
Oh,
bad losers.
Starting tonight.
Well, I would say, Matt, all right, you've gone to all this effort. We could have sent you some texts, emails, or listened to some of our calls if you wanted to see us fall out. What goes on behind the scenes is different to what you guys see.
I need to do something. I feel like Paul McCartney and the Beatles here. Hold up. There we go. 'Cause all of you are dressing to the other side tonight, and I'm feeling a little bit. I've been watching that. It's been doing my. That's better now. All the same way. It's all a bit weird.
Up now?
Yeah, no, please don't do that. That's fine. Okay, people. So there we go. When you hear that sound, get ready. You can help them make their point. At the moment, they're on 0-0, but here we go. Right now, I'm interested in hearing. Oh, was there anything else, Gary, you wanted to say about anything else about kind of housekeeping and what people need to know? And no, there's an update, isn't there? You put something in today, wasn't there?
Yeah, I put something in today, and it's basically for the tier 4s, and then I reshared the tiers 1, 2, and 3 guidance. But I anticipate that there's going to be a lot more changes between now and the new year. And as Mike was saying earlier, we're supposed to be having some time off, but we won't be having any time off. We'll be. Luckily, I've got members in Scotland, Ireland, and Wales who are keeping me up to date with their updates. So it's going to be it's going to be a difficult time. But I've got an extension I'm building, so that's going to be between Christmas and New Year. I'm going to be in there. I'll keep my phone with me if anybody wants to chat. I'll put you on speaker and just carry on.
Oh, great! So you're answering all these calls in some kind of really high 3rd floor roof extension thing. I just kind of
it's only a single floor, but it's a vaulted ceiling, so I will be on scaffolding.
Right, Gary, I'm going to just kind of move you out for a second so I can bring back on the image. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Glad you said that. Right, guys, tell me about this. Very exciting. It's coming up. Looking at things which people, I mean, obviously I'm a big fan and I'm biased, but I wanted to tell us about these 2 days and how it fits into what therapists could be doing at the moment. Let me just put it on big screen while you're talking about it. Let's go for the soft tissue day first of all.
Yeah, so I think if we rewind back a couple of years when I joined the team at SIF, then CPD and developing the CPD arm of the business was something I was passionate about. And as most people know, this year we launched therapistlearning.com. So this is the next extension. This was us running. We've run webinars. We've run one session things, but we wanted to run a 1-day thing, something where we can spend a little bit more time going into a little bit more depth. Everybody knows SIF's mantra is to be cross professions, unite the professions, break down the barriers. So we wouldn't be doing what we say we want to do if we didn't do it in this form. So the soft tissue day is the clinical side of this. We'll call it a weekend, but it's a Friday, Saturday. They're standalone days in their own, but they combine nicely to give you a clinical day and a non-clinical day. The soft tissue day is the therapy arm that we thought initially would touch most professions. We all do some element of soft tissue therapy with our patients rather than us delving into something more niche. And what we've done is we brought 6 keynote speakers together. Many are friends and members of the STA. And we're going to put a slight twist on it. Rather than it being the how, there may well be an element from each speaker of the how to do some of the soft tissue therapies. We're going to take a step back, look down a bit more from 10,000 feet. And we're going to chat about the what, the why, and the when of what we do stuff. So we've got the likes of Anna Maria who's going to kick it off, and we're going to just spend some time chatting about the importance of the subjective assessment. The final itinerary is confirmed, but the timings aren't yet. But we'll flow through the following speakers. We've got the likes of Paula and Chris, who will be using real case study examples, where they'll be chatting about how they use soft tissue therapy within the running population with Chris and with combination with rehab with Paula.
So that's Paula, just for people listening for the audio, that's Paula Clayton, who you could imagine there's people who don't know who Paula is. Obviously we do, but who's Paula and what's her, why is this person Paula?
Paula Clayton is a very well-known therapist, author, speaker. Paula is a physio and soft tissue therapist, member of the SMA. Paula spent many years working in elite sport, particularly in athletics and in football. And still, although runs her own private practice now and works in a private hospital, still works with elite athletes right down the totem pole from there. So Paula is a really accomplished therapist who shares her knowledge all the time. And having seen Paula speak in the past, and Paula's where she excels is when she gives the practical demos of real world case study examples. So the person we'll be talking about there is an elite GB Olympic athlete she's working with right now, and she's combining soft tissue and rehab. But it's not just, well, I do this in one session and that in the other. It's this is how they're planned. This is how they complement each other. This is why this helps me do that sort of approach. Everybody should know Chris Kitson, STA member, endurance therapy and performance. So Chris spends a lot of time working with endurance athletes and runners, similar to myself. And Chris really reasons, the clinical reasoning process Chris uses to decide when, where, and what he's going to do with people is probably the most, one of the most acutely, finely tuned ones that I've come across when I've spoken to therapists. So he's going to share that. So it's more people thinking, okay, that's how I should be using it, or that's another way for me to think of this. And what we want to do from all of the things, from both days, is we can't stand it when someone goes on a course, but then it's 6 months until you can use the course. You get a tool or a piece of equipment or some skill, but that population doesn't pop in. What we're trying to do with these days is give you real-time knowledge that you can apply the next day, should you be in clinic or seeing someone virtually.
I was going to say, actually, sorry to interrupt, but let's just stress, how's this going to help people who, for example, can't work at the moment? Let's imagine the worst case scenario. A lot of level 3s who are listening or watching. What are they going to get out of these speakers that could help them?
Yeah, a brilliant question. And I think firstly and most fundamentally about it is we've done it on purpose in the first week of the new year. 2020 ended up being a really diverse, different year for a lot of people when it comes to CPD. They experienced CPD in many different ways. There was a plethora of it available in many forms, and probably people ended up with more hours logged than they would have in previous years, but a lot of it may not have been directly relevant to them. So what we wanted to do was hit the ground running. Let's get some CPD in the bank early days in the start of 2021. Gary's kindly sort of accredited this stuff as STA member CPD. So it's when it's logbook hours, it's learning, it's revision for some. Something I'm always pushing around with therapists is that one of the most important things you should do rather than learning is to relearn. It's really important just to revise and relearn. You know, as we evolve as therapists, as we become older as people, then things we read once upon a time, we understand in a different way when we reread them or reread them. So for some, it'll just be revision. For some, it'll be brand new. And it'll just be either CPD, or if you are seeing people virtually or in person, then it'll be something you can apply to the practices as soon as possible.
And people who are listening, let's imagine, well, people listening now, but also in a few days' time. This isn't until the 8th and the 9th, is it?
Yeah, Friday the 8th.
Still sign up. Is there a cut-off time, or can people still sign up?
No, people can sign right up. The beauty is that we appreciate, prior to the catastrophe that's happened this week, most of us assumed that we'd be in work on that Friday, Saturday. People would just be opening their clinics back up for the new year. So everything, very similar to Run Chat Live, is recorded. So if you purchase your ticket now and you can't make either of the days, or you can't make all of the days, then you've got access to that recordings indefinitely afterwards by getting the ticket now. Tickets are available right up until the day. I guess the key message tonight for people is that end of play tomorrow, Wednesday the 23rd, the early bird price ends, and the price will jump up from there. So today's the day to get in, today or tomorrow, and there is an STA discount code, Malk, isn't there? I believe.
Yes, love it. Thanks for that, Mike. There is. I might have to do a little quick Google. I thought you were going to drop it in there seamlessly. I was switching off.
Well, there is. We'll find it out. Gary's probably on it now.
Yeah.
The comments.
Keep talking, Mike, and I'll seamlessly find that for you.
So other speakers that we've got lined up is Matt Scarsbrook is going to come in, former guest on this, friend of STA as well. Matt's going to be chatting. Matt's chatted a little in the past about the modern narrative and the context that we should be explaining soft tissue therapy when it comes to persistent pain, chronic pain patients. But we're going to expand on that a little bit more and chat about, are we throwing the baby out with the bathwater? So that sort of background knowledge, overarching ethos of what we may be trying to achieve with soft tissue therapy in that population. And then I'm really excited to have managed to get Susan Finley to chat for us. One area that I still see as a bit of a taboo when it comes to soft tissue, there seems to be a lot of confusion about cancer patients and using soft tissue therapy. Now, Susan's really experienced in this, so she's going to be chatting about the application of soft tissue therapy, the reasoning, the thinking process about it when it comes to patients with or former patients of cancer and oncology problems.
Really exciting. No,
yeah.
I think the important thing, I just want to make sure that, because I know that everybody in the room watching, for example, know these people. Okay, so it will be a revision. I'm looking down the list here and all the people here. I'm really excited that you're booking on. But when I look at this list of people, this, again, it's a fantastic entry point for people who are not converted yet, who are not quite on the same page, because there's no one here threatening. There's no one here who's going to shout in capital letters or make kind of traditional therapists feel small or stupid, or that they're going to have to end their career. So if people listening to this podcast, or people who are live as well watching, this is a real nice link to share with somebody who has maybe just kind of approached you or said, oh, I don't get this, all this modern movement, or someone who's kind of like dropped the seed that they're interested in listening and changing and evolving. That's what these people mean for me. I think they're all lovely people with the best interest at heart. They're not trying to show off, and they're all people who have evolved. You know, they're all people who used to do what a lot of people are still doing today and have kind of moved along. So,
yeah. And I think when you can admit that yourself, then it's very easy to knowledge share with others. And as you say, you know, this isn't a list that's got together by luck. We've handpicked some of these guys. I think the other thing, which I think is slightly hidden by the border, but we'll have 3 speakers in the morning, and then 3 speakers in the afternoon, and topping and tailing both the morning and afternoon sessions are 2 panel discussions. So we'll be bringing other speakers in to join the panel for those. In the morning, which is an interesting one, chatting about whether people will be open or not to see patients, will be how to integrate soft tissue therapy into an online practice.
Excellent.
So we'll be chatting the pros and cons of that. Should we, shouldn't we? How to do it? What's people's reflections? And then we'll be wrapping it all up at the end. We have got a number of associations or training providers involved with the speeches and speakers. So they will be chatting about what the future may look like. What's the future as far as training and treatment with regards to soft tissue therapy?
I'm going to bring Gary back now. Let me bring that out and bring Gary in, because one question I'm interested in hearing you all talk about. I'm kind of chatting to Gary about it off air as well. Welcome back, Gary. Can you hear me okay?
Hi. Yeah, good.
I kind of get the impression, I think you guys have probably seen it as well, that the people who struggle most with getting online are the people who still believe that the source of their power is their hands, and they are the traditional idea that the magic you're doing is actually you are breaking down scar tissue, you are using some kind of neuromuscular energy technique to extend the range of movement, all these things which if you don't see that person, you can't help them anymore. And I think that's one of the biggest fears for a lot of people, and they're the people who we're trying to reach out to, because they're the people who've got all the empathy and the desire and the altruism to help others. I just really want them to get on the same page as modern thinking therapists and devote all that to something a little bit less wrong, sort of thing, which is a nice expression. So, I mean, I get the impression from people in this list that this will help, but how do we get through to those people? How do we encourage them to actually turn up for something like this, where they're going to hear modern interpretations of what we do without saying you're rubbish?
From an STA perspective, we've got planned in January a talk, one of these to talk about qualifications and the limitations of certain qualifications and how they've changed over a number of years to actually turned into something that, in my opinion, is not quite fit for purpose. So we've got the leader of one of the biggest training schools in the country, and we've got a qualification design manager coming on to I suppose justify and talk about where we see training going. But interesting, I was making some notes as Mike was talking there, and tying in with what SIF are doing. You know, we are looking at a mentorship scheme. We've run a pilot recently, and we're looking at a mentorship scheme which develops especially for those people you mentioned, Matt, who are probably level 3 and highly dependent on the soft tissue skills, how to bridge that gap between what they are doing now and creating their online presence and being able to work more remotely with clients, because we're trying to prepare them for, the start of 2021, which is going to be difficult. There are going to be restrictions in and out as we move forwards until the vaccine has that chance to work. So I think what we're seeing here is a sort of a unknowingly we all are going singing from the same hymn sheet, and we are developing strategies for our members. So I'm particularly looking forward to to the start of 2021, simply because we can provide a better service to our respective members.
Mike, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, as far as those who may doubt what this is or question this type of learning, as far as, is it really what I need or want, then what we're not doing is preaching from a hilltop that everybody needs to practice this way. What we're saying is, for some of you, things like the online discussion, we may actually just be talking a short-term solution for you to get through this storm that we're talking about. We're not saying that you have to throw away everything you've ever done. What it's not going to do is question or be disparaging to the way they've practiced and the thing they've learned. We just want them to come and listen. We've intentionally priced it at a thing that we think is value and quality. So, there's not many CPD days that will come in the value this will for what we think is the quality it offers. So what have you got to lose? Roll the dice, come and listen. Worst case, challenge or confirm your biases and use it as a day to go, okay, I've listened to some points of view that I may not have heard before or I may not agree with. And I either one will double down on what I think, or I'll maybe be open-minded. It's certainly not a preach or a negative on those who may think differently. We just want to provide a platform to give them the opportunity to challenge the way they think.
Cool. So the other side of this, which works together really, really well, and something I've always been harping on about, there's not enough CPD for it, is the business side of it. I think it's great that you guys are putting these together back to back, because there is a massive void in terms of helping therapists sort out the business side of things. Again, moving away from just relying on the magic they do with their hands. So Malcolm, that's your brainstorm, isn't it? That's the one that's going to be Saturday, the business side of things. Oh, geez, Gary, I'm going to have to move you out again, mate. It does make it easier with humbug on your hat. Humbug. Sorry. Yeah, Malcolm, tell us about the business day. I'm very excited about this.
Well, I guess first up, it's worth saying, so the code that I'd obviously prepped beforehand was STA and then the number 21. So STA 21. If anybody uses that, then to start 2021 in style, and that will get 20 members 21% off.
Oh, so it's the first 20 to get there. Nicely done. I like it. There we go. STA 21. Yes. Nicely so.
We did it when we first launched it, and it was very popular, and those went. So well worth getting on board and having a look at that as well. So STA 21. Another thing that's worth saying is we know some people have been incredibly badly affected, and some people have completely lost their jobs if they're working for other people. So if anybody is in that boat, then reach out to us, info@sportsinjuryfix.com or at Sports Injury Fix on any social media or on give us a shout, because we've been doing a few bits and bobs to help people out in that situation, for those that have lost their job and are wanting to take some positive steps and actions to get back into it as well, because we fully appreciate it's a really, really tough time.
Very cool. So the Business Bootcamp.
Yeah. So this has come about, obviously 2020 has absolutely ripped up most people's business plans, if they had them, or certainly their strategy or their business models. It's thrown everything up in the air, and where that's going to fall, actually we've started to see, we've got a pretty good understanding of what that's going to look like now. And what it's really highlighted is that those that had embraced the business side as well as the clinical side, for some of them have actually come out of this even stronger than ever and are being far more successful. Because the one thing that's clear through all of this to take away is that as tough a time as it is, demand has not gone away. If anything, then demand has gone up, because people are now working in different environments they're not used to. They're all hunched over kitchen tables and they're getting more pain. They can't go to gyms, so they're running, and they haven't run for ages, so they're hurting themselves that way. So the amount of people that are in pain, we know stress and mental injury can lead to physical injury as well. All of that's through the roof. It's just about how we can help those people. Sometimes that has to change. And sometimes, as we've talked a little bit about, sometimes that can challenge our biases as to how we think we may be able to help people. So one of the things that's really there is okay, how do we put something on right at the start of the year, at the time when we've been told it by multiple people, why are you putting a CPD event on the first weekend in January? That's a crap time of doing it. You're not going to make any money from that. And it's right, it makes terrible business sense to put it on then, but it's the time that people need it. And as you know, Matt, and hopefully the multitude of members that we've chatted to, and those fair few that don't, but we're really passionate about helping people and helping people at the time which they need help. So the business day, actually this one is 18 short, sharp sessions. And it's all focused on setting yourself up for success, obtaining clients, retaining them, and just avoiding the common mistakes. Because so often we see the amount of time, money, and effort that people are putting in, and often it's just some real simple little tweaks that can convert that from being frustration into success.
Oh, sorry, we know what that means now. I have to put a bit in there, sorry. Right, so the question is, we will have 5 seconds on the clock. You can help people by writing #Malk or #Mike. And the question is, which Christmas song repeats the lyrics, "Oh, come, let us adore him"? Answers, please.
"Oh, come, all ye faithful."
Malcolm, I'm going to have to hurry, I'm afraid.
Well, I could be cheeky and say, "Oh, come all ye faithful," but because
right
I know that's right. I can remember it. The moment he said it, I was like, "Oh, that's it." So I'm not gonna lie and cheat. I didn't have that on tip of my tongue.
That's fine. You can agree with them. Yeah, you both get a point. That's fantastic. Sorry to ruin you. I can see a flaw in my plan here, actually. It's kind of a bit like Anyway, so yes, it was "Oh, come all ye faithful." Let's bring up onto the screen here. You guys are going to disappear, but we can see here, setting yourself up for success. So you've divided it up into different sections. Talk to me a little bit about the speakers again, who you've got and why you've chosen them.
Yeah, so the reason for this bit is the first question that we always get asked is, how do I get more clients? How do I get more clients? But actually, when you scratch and look at some of the basics, people can't answer it. And what that means is, yes, you will obtain more clients, but you'll never do it in an efficient way. And actually, you'll be really hindering yourself, and you'll be squandering a lot of time, money, and effort. So there's a few things. One, which is, let's be honest, it's a really busy time at the moment. So the short, sharp session I'm doing is just how to actually strip out a lot of the stuff that you don't have to do to give yourself time to focus on what is important. And Andy Hosgood from Elevate Your Clinic, physio, built up a raft of clinics up in the Northwest. Really lovely guy, very straight talking, spade to spade. A real session about KPIs, key performance indicators. So actually understanding some of the metrics. There's a raft of things you can measure, but if you focus on what matters, that enables you to be really laser focused and know what, again, it helps you to know what to focus on and how to measure that what you are doing is being successful, and to double down on that. And equally, if what you're doing is not successful, then to stop doing certain things or change. Gemma Oliver, I believe she's on here. I think I've seen a couple of comments. Amazing lady. And one of the biggest things that we've seen that really holds people back, particularly on the business side, is confidence. You know, what they don't realize is the skill set that makes them a great clinician is also the skill set that makes them brilliant at the business side. Just no one's explained it in a language or a way that can help them understand that. And confidence is often a really, really advice that's out there is, you know, give us 3,500 to do this wonderful, you know, follow this formula that worked for me, and people end up feeling a bit ripped off, and they don't like it, so then they bury their head in the sand and they avoid it. Don't need it. And then Dave James, aka the foot and leg magician. So podiatrist by trade, built up his own podiatry business and then sold it. Fantastic guy, really engaging, been there, seen it, done it. Works as a coach as well. There's a lot around social media and video. But the key thing there is about understanding your customers. And now more than ever, if you understand your customers and you engage with your customers, you'll have all the answers. If that's the only thing you do from the day, is have a look at that little 20-30 minute session, and that will give you virtually all of the answers that you need. Because if you understand your customers, you know then who to talk to, you know who to approach, you know who to target. It will tell you exactly where you can find them, how to market them, how to give them the outcomes they want and engage with them. And it all flows from there, really.
I'm racking my brain trying to think. I don't want to just say this like to big you guys up, but I can't honestly remember in the past like a CPD day based on this. I know I've been whinging saying there's not enough of this going on, but are you aware of another day like this? Or is this kind of quite revolutionary? And do you think it's come out of COVID-19 that a day like this is actually appearing?
I have to say, actually, it's partly based on that was back at Copa back in about 3 years ago. It was actually the first time I met Andy Osgood there, actually. And there was a little business stand tucked away. And it was a few people like Tor, Andy Byrne, Andy Osgood, Jill Woods. And they'd all just been randomly asked to put something on by Copa. And they'd collaborated between themselves and said, wouldn't it be lovely if actually we work between ourselves to take people on a bit of a journey through the day? And so between themselves, rather than just bigging themselves up, they actually did a step-by-step process. And it was the event itself was a bit hit and miss, but that stage, I should say, was packed to the rafters. And it was really well done. And it always really stuck with me that, well, at the time, because that's when SIF was in its embryonic stage, I thought, brilliant, okay, that must be done all the time. I've never seen anybody do that since. Because, and I think this is probably one of the big things, I think the people that are involved in the business side, often it's about individuals, perhaps with their own coaching business. And so as a result, it's all about just bigging up them, and it's trying to get people into this, you know, come and do my social media planning or whatever, or, you know, let's do some coaching for 500 quid an hour or something like it. So I think the advantage that we have with SIF is just the fact that with SIF and therapist learning, we get to see what thousands of therapists are doing and what's successful and what's not. So we're not preaching in terms of this is our own individual experience from building up a clinic or two. It's this is what we are seeing from the hundreds and thousands of therapists that are working. And this is where we're seeing people are doing things successfully. This is where some of the mistakes which they're making. And yeah, let's put that into nice bite-sized chunks to make it quite straightforward for people.
Very good. No, it sounds really, really good. Really looking forward to watching it. You've got part 2 there, obtaining clients, with Mike himself, obviously talking. You got Tom as well as Dave's coming back. Jack Laidler. Tell me a little bit about Jack.
Yeah, so Jack is a front-end developer as part of Sports Injury Fix. Young guy, but brilliant, like a little Tigger, boundless enthusiasm. And again, it's interesting here. Everything you ever hear about websites is normally done by people that sell websites. So of course they always tell you the things that, you know, websites are really important and you should have it, and, you know, we'll sign you up, and it's only, I don't know, you know, it's only $3,000 or it's only £100 a month, but you're tied in for X number of months, so it actually becomes really expensive, etc., etc. That's always nice to see. Well, thank you, Chamomile Health. Yeah, we're really trying to focus down on that. Right, we know most people, and particularly most STA members, are one-person businesses. You don't have big budgets. You certainly don't have big budgets now. So what are the most important things that you can do yourself that are easy to do yourself? And what are those quick wins? Because yes, let's be honest, there's always a list of about 5,000 things to do. But actually, there's about 5 to 10 that really make a big difference. And they're the ones that if you're going to do anything, they're the ones that are worth it, aren't they? You know, they always say if you can get up above that 80% threshold, you're doing very well. The opportunity cost of doing that next 20% is almost not worth it for the majority of people. So that's the focus, really. I think there's just before we moved off that slide though,
Yep.
The one you see there, it looks very heavy about the online side of things. And that's deliberate because that's what we get asked a lot about. Again, what I would say, if you only listen to one of those talks, the Offline Marketing That Works by Bob Allen and Nick Knight. So Bob Allen is an osteopath. Nick Knight is a podiatrist, but runs an MSK practice with sports rehabber, sports therapist, and looking to bring on board a physio as well. Brilliant. The two of them are just absolutely amazing examples of how if you ingratiate yourself in the community in the right way, you just get referrals coming out of your ears, and to the point you almost don't need to do a lot of the online side of things. It's really, really powerful, and they've just got some simple little suggestions that are incredibly effective to give people a little flavor. Now, one thing that Nick does, which I think is great, is every single patient that he sees, given now everything's online, so he's got the online notes, so he just cut and paste that into a letter which he emails to their local GP. And what that meant is, well, the first one or two got nothing, but then reached out to the GP. Now the GP in that local area knows that all NHS provision has basically been shut down now, so they can't refer people on, or there's huge delays. Is seeing these very well written, very helpful notes that are coming in from this great private clinic nearby. And as a result, Nick is getting an unbelievable number of referrals coming in from local GP, from anybody that happens to be injured. Just simple thing. Flagged it to a few people, and I've yet to find somebody that was already doing that as well. So they're the sorts of simple, practical tips that, it doesn't cost you any money, but can really pay dividends.
Very good. And just to remind people who are listening, because I'm putting these slides up, the Business Bootcamp is all on the Saturday, yes, which is the 9th?
Yes.
Yeah, the 9th. So it's a soft tissue on the day before. So people can sign up for either or both. Depends what they want to get out of it.
If you sign up for one, make sure you have a look on the thank you page when it goes through, because you'll then see a code for a 30% discount to sign up for the second one as well. Right, so there's an added incentive that's there. It's also important to say all of this is recorded. So yes, it will be live on those days, but all of those sessions will be loaded up onto therapistlearning.com as soon as we can afterwards. So they will be available indefinitely then, either for people to work through, because we know there's going to be so much people are going to be taking away that we know they will want to rewatch those and take the time. There are certificates available as well, which we know people like, and any handouts will come out from it as well. But equally, yeah, if people can't make the day, then yeah, you can still dive in now at the early bird price, and then yeah, watch them as and when they're uploaded.
Fantastic. Now, it looks like a very, very good couple of days. And like I say, people, I mean, I can see here, I think already 4 or 5 people in here are already on the page, and they're like, brilliant, sounds like great information, they're signed up. But really, really, if you want to help the industry, which will directly help you and your business, I would say that all the kind of, it's between 26 and 33 people in here at the moment. You're all basically mentors. The fact that you give up your evening to be in here and listen to all of these people and stuff it gives you quite a lot of responsibility, because you've got some amazing information, and you really are kind of like the portal now for passing on this sort of information to people who aren't aware, or feel maybe a little bit less confident, or maybe just kind of like think, oh, I haven't got time or money for all of that, or think that it's all a con. A lot of CPD, unfortunately, is geared towards just making money. So what better sales pitch than, yeah, we know this is a terrible day to put a CPD course on, but we're not doing it to make money. We're doing it because this is when you need it. I mean, that's just like beautiful. It's great. So yeah, all 28 of you currently live now, and everybody who's listening on the download, it's not until the 8th and 9th. Try and reach out to somebody who you think would benefit from just evolving a tiny bit. You know, somebody, because you'll be doing them a huge favor and the industry a favor, and there for yourself. So there we go. Gary, welcome back.
Yeah, can I just ask then, to follow on from that, if everybody who's on the live chat tonight shared this Let's Talk About feature to their local Facebook network page, social media, that would be a great way of doing it. And if we could encourage members to do that every week, we're growing our network, and we're not just preaching to the converted. You know, we are making inroads, and I think it would be a great way to publicize what, I mean, the business one looks really good. I might even watch that myself.
You have to play the game. There is a danger. I mean, Facebook is devised to only show you what you already want to see. It's all, if you haven't seen social media yet, then watch it, because you'll understand. They make money by keeping you on the screen. That's how they sell the advertising. So they're not going to show you anything that would make you switch off. So there's the danger, therefore, that you only ever get what you're already into. So in order to make social media work and to reach new people, you've got to post it somewhere where it's not just all your mates watching. You've got to reach out to people who are not on the same pages as you, and for it to work, and you've got to do it a few times. So yeah, like Gary says, just put it out there. Put it on different places where you think it might not normally be read by people who are already on the same page as us. Fine, right. Well, look, it's 9 o'clock, guys. I feel a bit more positive knowing those 2 days are coming up. Really exciting, really great. The quality of the people and the content. I'm hoping that people in here are feeling a bit more positive. Gary, anything you want to do to keep this positivity going? Or should you just leave?
No, I think just wish everybody, you know, a Merry Christmas, and hopefully 2021 will be better. You know, we can't change the past, but we can change the future. You know, if we're writing another chapter in the book of our life, we hold the pen. We can do what we want to do. Don't be restricted. Don't be tied down. Experience new things. Very
nice. Write that one down, Mike. I've never used it yet. I like it. Yeah, it's worth writing down that one. That's really good. And you guys, Mike and Malcolm, thanks so much for giving up your time. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I see you all. I'm taking a little break from social media, but I see you all working so hard, and you're going to be continuing to work. Obviously, between now and when this actually comes to life. But no, it's going to be a great couple of days. So I appreciate you guys putting it on. Are you managing to get some downtime at all, just to make me feel better? Mike, you looked a bit down.
Yeah, I got a bed at 1 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock now, so it's all good. It's all good. But for us, it sounds cliche, but it's a labor of love for us. We enjoy it. There's many things that we do don't really burn too much energy from us, because it's something that excites us to do it. We're fortunate enough to be able to spend some time thinking about how to help people, and to be able to do it's the reward that we enjoy. So it's not too bad for us.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Malcolm? True. Yeah, I'd echo that. I think what's always lovely is, whenever we, either of us or together, we're on with the STA and you guys, then in terms of the comments and the engagement from people, then it's really isn't a fantastic association. And it's lovely to see everyone help each other, which is great. I just, repeat what I said halfway through in terms of, if anybody is having a really terrible time and struggling, and needs a helping hand with anything, then please do shout. In particular, I guess if anybody's still listening to this last closing bit and is wanting to understand, well, how do I set myself up for 2020, then again, reach out, put I listen to the end to info@sportsinjuryfix.com. We'll give you free access to a little one-page business plan webinar that we did, that is normally for sale on therapistlearning.com, but we'll give you that for free, because I think once you understand and can create that framework of a plan that can adapt to all of the multitude of changes that will inevitably happen in 2021, you'll just feel that much more confident about it. And event plus response equals outcome. So kind of building on the great analogy that Gary said, that, how we choose to respond to everything defines what that outcome is. So, let's try and make 2021 positive, no matter what else happens around. But other than that, just Merry Christmas, everyone. Stay safe and well, and I hope you have a lovely time with the family members that you are allowed to see.
Very nice. You are a good bunch of people. Yeah, you're very good out there. It's nice. It's made me feel better. It's nice seeing all of you just helping each other, and it's great. It's a credit to the industry, and we will come out stronger on the other side. There will be a positive side to this. Your businesses will be stronger ultimately. You'll have a better set of skills, and you'll be able to make a difference and help more people. So it will happen. It's just going to have to kind of ride the wave until we get there. So, right, gang, thank you so much for joining us. We're not here next week, having a Christmas off, and then we're back on the 5th. So we'll be back here a few days before the soft tissue day and the business bootcamp. So we'll see you on the 5th. We're very excited. We've got a guest that a lot of people were after we spoke to Nick last week. So I managed to get him. I'll announce it soon, but very excited. We'll be back on the 5th with that. And also, obviously, we'll have another little chat about what's coming up on the 8th and 9th. So have a great day. Christmas Day, obviously, I'm talking about. Stay safe. And we'll see you. Obviously, probably talked before, but we'll see you here on Sports Therapy Association podcast in 2021. Take care, and thanks as always for joining us.